Welcome to this video. This is episode 2 of the Modern Classic series. Well, I'll be presenting memorable games of the last, let's say, roughly 25 years. So I'm looking at rather modern looking games that still are very much worth watching. And the second episode will feature a game by current world champion Viswanathan or Vishy Anand, played against the top Moldovan, I'm not quite sure, from Moldova, Victor Bologan, the top player of that country, played in 2003 in the Dortmund GM tournament, 2003, not so long ago. And in fact, this game also has won multiple prizes. Also, it won best game of the decade in the Chess Informant contest a couple of years ago. So very, very well known game, but still it needs to be in there. If you look at best games of let's say 25 years, the last 25 years. One thing that needs to be mentioned is that this tournament in 2003 was the best tournament that Victor Bologan ever played. He won the Dortmund Super Tournament. He was actually on paper really an outsider, but he simply won this tournament, and he also beat Anand in the first leg. That this was I think 6-player double round robin, and in the first part of the tournament Anand lost against Bologan, who won a very nice game. I'm not quite sure what it was. Maybe it was the Caro-Kann even. Yeah, he won. I roughly remember the game. He won a very nice game against Anand. Yeah, of course, Anand wanted to take revenge. He's a very friendly, more peaceful character, but still revenge is very human. You want to get a win in if you lost the first game. So let's see what happened. 1e4, as Anand usually plays. Of course, he branched out a little bit in the last couple of years, but e4 is and was back then his main move. So we got a Caro-Kann. Bologan is a flexible player, plays all kinds of openings with black, but a Caro-Kann here, and Anand plays the classical line knight c3. It's taken, and now Bologan plays knight d7. This is a line that he played back then. Bishop f5 is more common, maybe. Even back then I think it was more common. But knight d7 is of course perfectly alright. The favorite move by Karpov. So knight g5, the main idea nowadays. Knight f6 was played. I explained a little bit of this stuff in the second episode of my Openings Uncovered series, just uploaded a couple of days ago. There I explained a bit about White's alternatives. If you want to learn more about the Caro-Kann, check this out. So knight f6, bishop d3, e6, knight f3, bishop d6. This is the main line even nowadays. h6, takes, queen c7. Now this is still played even today. Castles, b6, queen g4. Yeah, and now we get to a critical point really early in the game. Here Black's main move is actually the somewhat strange looking king f8. This has been played numerous times by Karpov mostly. And just a second, I want to check this. This is out of, yeah, king f8 is the main move. But g5 was an interesting alternative. I say was because this game actually was the last high profile game where it was played. Okay, so king f8 is looking a bit strange, as mentioned, because you lose the right to castle. but black will get some tempi on the queen, win some time, and he will get in bishop b7 and c5, and sometimes black really can play g6, king g7 and do a castle by hand. I mean, Karpov played this a number of times. But in the game, as said, Bologan played g5, which was very topical back then and was thought to give black interesting play to simply get a little bit more active, game. And the problem is for white is the queen. If white would make some nothing move now, let's say he would play rather weird move, let's say c3, just basically nothing move, he needs to reckon with this idea. I mean, in this position, in fact, you can play here, and it's tricky. But okay, black can take here,
Check.
and I don't think that white wants this. So this is the basic idea, that black's attacking the queen, and you don't have so many squares. But Anand, of course, didn't play c3. C3 is really stupid. He played queen h3, which is much better. This retreats the queen and actually now simply threatens to take on g5. So black needs to react to this. And he played rook to g8. And this was a known position before this game. It had been played before. And the first thing you're asking yourself is, what is happening if white actually takes the pawn? You can look at this. Let's say white would take, but then it's funny. Bishop f8 attacking the queen. You don't have so many squares. If you go here, there's a simple g4 winning a piece, and if you go here, there's knight f6, and it's just the same. You need to go back g4. Yeah, and white will lose. Yeah, he will lose a piece at least. Now you don't have this kind of trick, because
Check.
at the end you get mated. So he cannot take h6. So what did Anand play? He played rook e1, which was a novelty. Knight d2 was the move that had been tried before. Obviously, this is knight d2 is much more passive, but rook e1 is the new move. And okay, it's clear white wants to put the rook opposite the king. It's still in the middle on e8, but of course it's very tactical right now. So time for calculation. What should black play? Let's check the obvious move first, and this is of course g4, forking the queen and the knight. Then white can simply take on h6. Black takes the knight, and then the point.
Check.
Rook takes e6. So queen takes e6 check. Let's check first what happens if black saves the attacked rook. King f8. This is in comparison relatively easy. Bishop h6 check. Rook g7 only move. And now the nice move, bishop to g6. Yeah, this threatens two checkmates using the pinned rook. And yeah, what should black do? He needs to play this move. It's simply the only one. Everything else just allows mate or isn't any better. Queen f6. King g8. Now takes on g7. Yeah, it looks completely winning, but it's not that easy. Queen g7. Queen d6. And now black has the fun move bishop f5. Utilizing this mate threat. If it wasn't for this move, this would be complete nonsense. White is winning here also, but it's not a position that you would resign or something. Hanging, and we still have this motif. Queen here, queen g6, and c3, and white has yeah, 5 pawns for the piece. It should be a rather clear advantage, but it's not entirely clear. Black can continue here maybe. All right, complicated line. I mean, it must be horrible to calculate this over the board. Okay, queen e6. But what about bishop e7? If black simply interposes, what's happening then? Yeah, white takes. Knight to f8. Bishop g6 check. King d7. If you go to d8, there's this move, and it's very, very strong, threatening queen takes f8 using the pin. Yeah, black is lost here completely. So king here, and then you have check on f5.
Check.
King e8, and now the very strong move bishop to h6, and this is really difficult to foresee. Probably the best defense is queen to d6. If black would take f5, you have the very strong move rook e1, and black is again completely busted. What should he do? You're threatening queen takes f8 using this pin. Black of course has moved the king already. He cannot castle or anything. So yeah, what should you do? You can go here, but then you have this simple procedure, and white wins the queen with an ongoing attack. It's completely dead. You can also you can pick up all the pieces also. Yeah, it's totally lost. So bishop h6 is tricky. Queen d6 is the only move that doesn't lose easily outright. And then white could play here, bishop f8, rook e1 check, king d8, queen f7 with this threat, bishop e7, and a position like this, in which white should have a quite clear advantage. Still, it's not resignable or something, but white should have a rather clear edge here. So very complicated lines, but okay, we are already 12 moves deep from the get-go, and this was g4. Yeah, and at the end Bologan simply didn't want to have this sacrifice on e6, and he played bishop to f8. Yeah, this covers h6, so this g4 queen h6 is not possible anymore. Here Anand played I think a very aesthetic move. I really like it, this maneuver that he's playing now. This is queen to f5. A very unusual looking move. The idea is to simply get out of this threat, of course, and also to prepare h4. In fact, instead of queen f5, here white had a very interesting alternative, and this was the violent move rook takes e6, which you of course calculate. Yeah? It's probably the first idea that comes to your mind, simply because the take on e6 is just winning for white. You get the rook back with 2 pawns up and a deadly attack, so this is really easy. The issue is, after rook takes e6, yeah, the black doesn't need to take, of course. He can go here, and then you're in really a really strange position with the rook hanging now and g4 threatened. And in fact, black has ideas like knight to e5 or knight to c5, immediately using the bishop on c8. So this is really a bizarre position, which is completely unclear, really. Cannot really tell easily what's going on. An interesting idea for white is simply to take on h6 here, taking the pawn, and this leads to, as mentioned, rather unclear positions. Let's say something like knight f6 here, and it's completely confusing. But what you see immediately, the queen doesn't have any good squares. You need to go here. Oops, this one, of course. g4, queen h4. Yeah, and by now you're totally confused probably. And it's very hard to evaluate this over the board. Bishop here, for example. And if white would take now on f6,
check,
then of course queen e7, there's not much else. Queen c6, g takes f3, and now black has some very strong counter threats. A possibility could be bishop h6, rook g2, check, king h1, need to do this, otherwise queen e2 mate, bishop b7, queen b5. Yeah, and it's a total mess. I mean, very hard to tell what's going on there. Maybe maybe white is still to be preferred. You've got the somewhat safer king, maybe. It's not a very safe king, but imagine the bishop coming here. This is something to protect you. It's not so easy for black to go to g2 with the queen. Yeah, a very tricky position. So white probably could have taken on e6, but it's not an immediate win. So let's go back. Anand played, as mentioned, the very aesthetic move queen f5. I really like that. Queen f5. And yeah, this also has the idea to invade here. Bologan played bishop g7, which is I think quite sensible looking move. And now h4, using the h-pawn to attack this this advanced pawn. And this is, I think it's really a genius idea to play queen h3, rook e1, then queen f5, and then h4 to attack this this weakness. Yeah, he played king f8. It's really difficult to suggest something else. You really must attack the queen to get any further. And now white simply retreated. So he played queen to f5, then h4, and then back. Yeah, I really love this maneuver. It's not the main feature of the game, but I like it. It just looks very very nice. Okay. By the way, if white would take now, you must look at this, of course. Then black has this tricky response using the pin, and it's not clear at all, but it's not winning for white. It's simply better what Anand played here. This retreat here to h3, and black really puts up a good defense. It's not like he played badly. He just went into a variation which is now known to be bad, but he really defended very well. Rook h8 now. And now after taking, you win a move on the queen g4. Yeah, of course, the g5 pawn is close to being lost, but black can go for some counterplay. He played c5. The basic idea is to go bishop b7, and maybe trying to get rid of this knight to have counterplay on h2 with the queen, so that you actually can do something with your rook. Black is trying for activity here, but Anand simply captured on g5 now. Yeah, okay, it develops a piece and takes off this pawn. This is easy. Yeah, black now captured on d4. And here Anand played a very strong move. It's not forced or anything. There are other interesting alternatives, but I think this is really a very deep move. And he played rook a to d1. There were alternatives. Yeah, he could still consider to take on e6. You had to calculate this basically every move, really difficult to do. But black has the defense again. He can play just knight e5, and this seems to hold the position. It's still very dangerous for black, but this kind of stuff doesn't seem to win outright for white. Yeah, of course, this game, it's similar to the episode 1 game that I did with Ivan Yusupov. You can really set up a board with the pieces and trying to figure out all these complications, or let yourself help a bit with an engine on the computer. But it's very nice to try to analyze all the complications without the machine. It's very rewarding, interesting tactics all around. Rook e6 wasn't winning outright, and so Anand played rook a to d1. This looks like a quite harmless, like a harmless move, just centralizing the rook. But this rook plays a key role in what's coming up next. In this position, black has a hard time. He is worse, no question, but you can still try to defend your position. What he did is bishop to b7, which has the idea that I mentioned, to trying to put pressure on f3 and maybe get some kind of counterplay on h2. In fact, this move loses by force, but this is you need to see what's happening. It's not at all easy to foresee this. He could put up better defense with probably a move like a5, which at the moment looks like it's not doing very much, but it's simply a kind of waiting move, trying to see what white is coming up with. The idea is simply that you need to have the bishop on c8, so that you are able to encounter those sacrifices with responses like this on knight e5. This is a problem on bishop b7. White is still very clearly better here, but it's not losing with such violent force as in the game. Another alternative worth considering was this move, but it's also not looking too great. If you look at ideas like this, I mean, black doesn't even have an extra material for this position. It's simply bad. But okay, he played bishop b7, and now Anand played the move that he had to calculate for the whole game basically, and he really did it. He took on e6, the rook sacrifice. So what's the point? Bologan took the rook. One simple idea is if white, black would take on f3, you have this, and you have a counter threat against the rook, and queen h2 is just a check. You go to f1. You can look at this, and there's simply no continuation. So what should black do? He would need to move the rook now somewhere here, for example. And then a move like rook e7, I can put it on the board. Rook e7 would win the game. Black has no defense. Check. He can give a check, play something like this, but then there's the strong move queen f5, attacking also the rook, and black will get destroyed here. It's simply no defense against this attack. So he cannot really take on f3, and this leaves just the capture. Check. Now bishop e7 check, the point, checking the king, and okay, it needs to take, not much choice. Queen g7. Yeah, you attack the rook, so the black king needs to go to d6, not much else. Yeah, and now the real point of this, black's king is in the middle of the board, and you're trying to calculate all kinds of checks and forced variations. And the beautiful thing is, white can just take on d4, which he did. Yeah, he took on d4, and this is now completely lost for black, and this is mostly due to the fact that this rook 81 5 moves ago is now opposed the king, and black has absolutely no defense here against the attack that's now coming over black. What should you do? He played queen to c5. The other possibility would be, or what you could look at, is queen to d8. White had this threat on b5. This is why the queen moves needs to be checked. So queen d8, and then white has the very forcing continuation. Knight takes e6. For example, king takes, queen g6 check, and now you're getting
check,
really hunted down, something
check,
like this. Yeah, now you've got a funny point, computer move. I mean, other ones are winning. Bishop d7 is the quickest though. Oops, yeah, not this one. Queen f5 is the idea. Queen f5 and checkmate to come. Yeah, and this is actually winning the house. This king is simply a bit too weak. So this would win, and in fact, instead of knight e6, there's another win, but this is similar to the game. Also, what would happen if black would play a6? You can also check this. Then white would simply take the pawn, as this is a double check even. Yeah, it's a disaster. Very nice. So what black played is he played queen to c5, which is the toughest defense. And here, actually, Anand missed a little point. What he played wins the game, no doubt about it. But here he played, let's check first what he played. He played bishop to f5, which is not bad at all. It's winning, yeah. But here he had an alternative: knight to b5 check, king to c6, the only move, and now they have the really beautiful move bishop e2, and this is just absolutely nice. This geometrical motifs. What should black do now? White is threatening to take on d7, and he needs to cover it, and then white has very aesthetic finish with the move c4, covering the knight, and now threatening bishop f3. Yeah, which is as good as a checkmate. Yeah, black only has queen to d5 to defend this, and here's black simply has no move. If he moves the knight, it's queen c7 mate. And yeah, it's such a funny piece configuration. What you can try is rook to f8 in order to take the bishop, but here you can go for this line, which is also very neat, as now after king c7 there's knight e6, or after king d6, knight d3, winning the queen. So yeah, black can still take here, but after this there's queen d6 checkmate threatened, and still the rook hanging. So yeah, white is simply winning. Yeah, this was a very aesthetic way to finish this, but he probably didn't have so much time left. And he had calculated bishop f5 in advance, and okay, it is winning as well. So it's just the very, very minor point that was missed here to finish the game quicker. But this is strong enough as well. So queen to e5 is the toughest defense, and hard enough in this position to find any moves that are halfway playable, really.
Check.
So knight f3 check. I mean, you can look at alternatives instead of queen to e5, but I think you're hard pressed to find anything. I'd say bishop d5 to block this. Then white simply takes, and this kind of stuff.
Check.
You don't survive.
Check.
Yeah, you simply don't survive this. White has got the 3 extra pawns also, and black needs to give the queen now to avoid getting mated. Yeah, queen e5 was relatively the best choice to continue.
Check.
Knight f3 check, queen to d5.
Check.
Yeah, and now he took the queen.
Check. Check.
Couple of checks. And now just bishop e4. At the end it's 2 extra pawns and still the very bad king position, which is a pretty easy win, and it didn't last much longer. Played rook h5, knight h4, directly going for this dangerous check. Rook g8,
check,
check, king to d8, queen f7. Yeah, and now we see that it's all too much. It simply wasn't defensible anymore. Went rook e8, and now the simple move bishop b3. Yeah, and here Bologan resigned. It's two pawns, and it's simply too much. White has multiple ideas: bishop b5, or simply push the pawns. Well, not b2 to b5, but let's say b4 first. He can has multiple ways to improve its position, and black's pieces are simply not working together. It's a complete win. So only a very minor spot on this beautiful game. What I enjoy about this game is this very static maneuver: queen f5, h4, and then back. This really was the key to get this pawn. Oops, not this. This pawn configuration weakened on g5 and h6. And of course it was brilliant, this rook 81 move, after which black really doesn't have a move. Whatever he tries, he's in huge trouble, and the direct point in this continuation here is just great, that you'd use the d file to hunt down the king. Yeah, really a great game. Yeah, Anand has played a ton of brilliant attacking games. You could easily do weekly show on that, and it would fill lots of time if you would want to. All right, I hope you enjoyed this game, and yeah, I'll continue the series on and off. Simply not on a weekly basis maybe, but quite often. I enjoy a lot to look at those beautiful games again, and very often I last looked at them really years ago when they were played, and I enjoyed a lot to sort of recap those nice efforts here. Okay, yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon with new content.